Welcome to the show. This is Family Recipes, Food from the Attic, where you, the viewers, send in your family recipes for us to share with the world. Alright, today our first recipe comes from Sheila Scott of Digby, Nova Scotia, and the recipe of the day is gumdrop cake. What you're going to do first is you're going to take your ½ pound of margarine, or butter, whatever you choose to use. You can get it in the ¼ pound squares, which will probably be the easiest for measuring out. You're then going to take it, peel both bricks of butter, and drop it immediately into the mixing bowl. Now, the important thing you're going to have to remember is don't throw out the margarine wrapper. You can use that later on in the recipe. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take the 2 cups of white sugar you have standing by, you're going to add it to the bowl of margarine in the mixer. Next, we're going to take 1 cup of milk and we're going to heat it up in the microwave just to warm it up a little bit. You don't want it too hot and you don't want it too cold, so just warm it up. Next, you're going to take your 3 eggs, you're going to crack them into a bowl and you're going to mix them up, whisk them up really good so you get the egg whites and egg yolks all mixed together. So after you've mixed up the eggs, you're going to slowly pour them into the bowl. Make sure you got no eggshells in there. Now you've got some of the wet ingredients all mixed into the bowl, you're going to turn the mixer on a very low setting to start. You're also going to need 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda, but baking powder. So what you do is after you've added the baking powder, you're going to turn the mixer on to a low setting again. Help stir it in just a wee bit. Then you're going to take your flour and very carefully pour it in, or else you're going to make an awful mess with the powder. The flour helps thicken it up to allow it to make more of a bed cake batter. Now, after your batter has become nice and thick, you're going to add the 3 extracts. First, you're going to add the lemon extract. Remember, 1 teaspoon or 1/2 of a teaspoon. Next, you're going to add the almond extract. Ooh, you got to be a little bit careful. Now, finally, the vanilla extract. Now, after you've added the 3 extracts, you're just going to turn the mixer onto a low speed and let it mix itself out. While that works, you can get to work on cutting up your gumdrops and getting them ready for baking. Now what we're going to do is after the batter's all pre-mixed, we can just leave it for right now, we're going to look into the gumdrops. You want to cut the gumdrops in half once, and then cut them into a quarter to make about the appropriate size. This would be a perfect size for baking. Now the problem with gumdrops is they're going to stick. Already, they're sticking to one another. And if you put them in a cake, they're going to melt. But there's a secret way of keeping that from happening all together at once. Now this is where the other ½ to ¼ cup of flour comes into play. You're going to pour the flour in on top of the gumdrops and then roll them in it. Just use your hands, mix it up, keeps it from sticking to each other. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your gumdrops with one hand, you're going to start sprinkling them into the batter. Now the important thing is you fold the batter over the gumdrops. Normally you can get pans that are non-stick. Fortunately this one is, but to help keep it a little bit safer, we're going to use that wrapper from the margarine that we saved earlier on in the show. We're going to use it to line the inside of the pan and the bottom. Alright, now the pan is completely greased. You're going to preheat your oven to 355 degrees. Alright, now while your oven is preheating to 355 degrees, you're going to take your bowl of batter and you're going to pour it into the pan, evenly distributing it around the pan, and even using the spatula to flatten it out on top just a wee bit. Alright, your oven is now preheated, so you're going to open her up. You take your cake pan, you're going to sit it on the middle rack, close it up, and you're going to set your time for 1 hour. That's all the time you're going to need. Should be a nice golden brown. It's going to break a little bit around the middle. That's all right. Let's take a look and see how she turned out. Remember, the cake should be moist but not wet. Perfect. And that is gumdrop cake. That was carried to us of Sheila Scott of Digby, Nova Scotia. Send us your recipes to scott@ascendanpoint.net to have your recipes featured on our show. That's all for this time. Tune in next week. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.